Welcome to Crown Brush. I'm Dawn Maloney, celebrity makeup artist and hairstylist. Today's video is all about foundation and concealers. Foundations and concealers have amazing purpose. They really serve you makeup artists by giving you that perfect clear canvas to work on. It gives you that clean slate so you can create beautiful makeup artistry on top of gorgeous foundation. So here are some of the products and tools that we are going to be using out of your Crown School kit. We have the Crown Banana Powder. We have the setting powder. The difference between the banana powder and the setting powder obviously is the color. I love using that transparent white powder, this powder right here, to set the makeup. And it doesn't matter how dark or light the person's skin is, you will not set any color, any of this white color on the skin. You're using such a minimal amount that the purpose is just to set the makeup, not to color the face. The banana powder is a really great highlighting powder, no matter how light or dark the person's skin is. When you're using this, especially in photography, the light will bounce off of this product and give the skin a beautiful natural glow. I'll also be using the Crown Foundation in the color PFK 3-9. You're going to work from your colored foundation powders. This is a beautiful palette that's in your school kit, and you will be using your palette knife that came in your school kit to scrape all of your products. Remember, makeup artists, no double dipping. You are not sticking your brush directly into this palette. You're going to scrape off what you need onto a paper towel or onto a metal palette. We're also going to use the HD primer, and this is a wonderful product to prep the skin before applying the foundation. Here's your metal palette, and you're going to use this to apply all of your liquids and creams on. The 15 color cream foundation palette is absolutely fabulous for your makeup artistry kit. These colors are so versatile, and you have such a beautiful selection that you'll be able to match any skin tone. And the brushes that we're going to be using today is the flat foundation brush, which is your A103, your round foundation brush, which deposits a lot of product, and that is your A101, and the concealer brush, which allows you to have control and precision, especially when working in a small area. And this is brush A119. Okay, so the first step to great foundation and concealer, great coverage on the skin, is to first apply your primer. So I have some of my HD primer on the palette, and I'm using my foundation brush, dipping into the product. And now I'm going to disperse it all over the face. Now again, I'm working from the side of Valerie. As a makeup artist, you would be standing in front of her and working side to side. You want to not only see what's in front of the face, but also on the sides as well, because the goal is to create balance and symmetry. You want to always move your product downward because you're laying down fine facial hair. So when it comes to your primer, your concealers, and your foundations, always think blending downward. Next, we are going to apply concealer, and I'm going to use some of this pink-based or red-based concealer to cover up a little dark circles. I'm using my concealer brush and picking up enough product on both sides of the brush. And then right in the orbital cavity area, wherever you see a little bit of darkness, you're going to use that pink concealer. Now this comes from the foundation palette, but it's super thick, so it gives really amazing coverage, perfect for concealer. After I'm done using the pink base concealer on her under eye area, then I'm going to clean my concealer brush with a little bit of 99% alcohol. I'll let this brush air dry before I dip into my next concealer. The reason why I'm cleaning my brush in between is because I'm changing concealer color. I don't want to mix the two together and make a completely different color. I want my color to be true. There's a phrase that I've coined, which is color contamination. And basically what that means, makeup artists, is that you're using a brush that's full of one color and then dipping into another color. Remember, makeup artists, A plus B does not equal B. A plus B equals C. You're changing the color completely. You're mixing something totally different. So your brushes have to be completely clean when you're trying or using another color. So I'm taking my alcohol, I dipped my brush into the 99% alcohol, and I'm just wiping the brush onto a paper towel to get this brush completely clean. And then it's going to air dry for about 30 seconds. That's the beauty of 99% alcohol when you're cleaning your brushes. It evaporates so quickly, so you can work so quickly. You can get things moving right away. Some of your brush cleaners leave your brushes very wet, and of course if you wash your brushes, that takes a lot of time to dry as well. Now I'm going to spot treat Valerie's Skin with a little bit of the beige concealer. So I'm using that concealer brush, and I love the fine tip of this brush for precision work. So if there's little spots that I want to cover up, I'm going to use the tip of the brush. So wherever I see a little bit of redness is where I'm going to cover up, and a little bit goes a long way. You don't want to use too much concealer because the face will look really cakey. Now later, after I apply the concealer, I'm going to use a little bit of foundation, and I'll use my foundation brush to smooth this all out. So if you do see a bit of a concentrate with the concealer, don't worry, you'll go back and smooth that all out. Now I'm going to use my foundation brush, and I will dip into the foundation right on the metal board, and then I'll very quickly work and kind of just spot treat. Disperse that product evenly on the face, and then again blend downward. You can go over the eyelids as well. So always blend downward, laying down fine facial hair. This just looks so beautiful. Such a great match for Valerie's Skin. It makes her look so smooth and perfect, and we're just getting her ready for a beautiful makeover. You can also use a sponge to apply your foundation as well. Here I have two sponge beauty blenders, and you can see that they are drastically different in size. This is a damp sponge, so I wet the sponge, I squeezed it out, and then I took a paper towel and just kind of absorbed the excess. Whenever you wet your sponges, you don't want it so full of water where it's dripping down the face. So make sure you squeeze it out and also kind of absorb a little bit of the water on the sponge. This is a dry sponge, and you can see that it's a lot smaller, so less surface area will be covered. Size does matter with sponges. The larger the tool that you work with, the greater surface area you're going to cover. So this will actually help you, makeup artists, to work a lot faster because it's so much bigger, and you'll cover more ground when working on the face. This is smaller, so you're going to work in concentrated areas, and time-wise, this will take you a little bit longer. Another thing to realize, that because this is wet and soft, that you will actually apply less foundation with a damp sponge because it's more porous. So the makeup will actually seep now into the pores of the sponge, and less will be applied on the face. Whereas this dry sponge is very tight and it has a very hard surface compared to the wet sponge, so more makeup will be deposited with a dry sponge. So I'm going to show you how to apply makeup with the wet sponge and how to apply it with the dry. This way you can see the difference in the application. Okay, so I have my foundation and I'm dipping in with my damp sponge. And you'll see that it's going on very smooth and easy, and I'm covering a very large surface area in a fast amount of time. And this sponge just kind of glides over Valerie's face. It's really smooth and soft and just really easy and beautiful. Now here is the dry sponge. So it's really tight and dense, and it's going to pick up a lot of product. I'm going to add a little more foundation onto my palette because I kind of ran out. And I'm picking up the product, and you can see how it rests right on top of the sponge. And this is going to be a lot slower because I'm working in a small area. In fact, this deposited a lot of product, so I'm going to have to take more. I just pumped out a little more. And you can see that this definitely is a heavier coverage. A lot more makeup is being applied on this side of the face than the other side. So if you need extra coverage, or you're working in the theater or TV, any type of media that requires a heavier coverage of makeup, use a dry sponge. Sometimes in photography also, we'll use a dry sponge if you want a lot of product. Again, it really depends on your makeup artistry, whether you want a lot of foundation or a little. So you can see on this side that there's a heavier coverage than this side. This is where I applied the makeup with a wet sponge, and this is where I applied with a dry. So we're getting a little bit more coverage on this side than we are on this side. Once your foundation is on and you feel that you need a little more concealer, absolutely, you can easily go back and apply a little more concealer. So I'm just going to take that beige concealer, just go back and kind of spot treat. And then what you can do is take your sponge and blend. This way the foundation and the concealer mix together, and it's beautiful and flowing and very natural looking. If you see something that you don't like, or maybe you want to tweak it a little bit or add a little bit, don't be afraid to do so. Sponges versus brushes, which one is better? I'm asked this question all the time, and there is no correct answer. One isn't better than the other. They each give different results. So brushes, for the most part, do deposit more product than a sponge. Why? Because this is very porous and the material will absorb the makeup. Now keep in mind, like I had said, that dry sponges do deposit more than a damp sponge. Damp sponges are great for a thinner, more natural look and can be easily spread, where a dry sponge is more of a coverage technique where you're really going to take your time and deposit more product. Brushes definitely deposit the most product. In fact, one of the things that you'll notice is that as you dip into your product and apply, that what you have on your brush literally goes onto the skin. So you want to ask yourself, makeup artist, when you are creating a design, how much coverage do I want? How much concealer, foundation, product do I want to apply to my client? This is also part of the discussion with your client, with the producer, the director, whoever's in charge of the makeup look. These are conversations that you want to have. Some clients do not like a lot of foundation. They want a more natural look. So naturally, you will use a wet sponge. If your client wants something very heavy and a lot of coverage, if you're working in the theater, you're going to want to use your brushes and your dry sponges. So your tools matter. Remember the phrase that I've coined and I've been using for many, many years teaching makeup artists, that the product, the tools, and the technique equals a result. So after you've applied your concealers, your foundations, now you can set the skin. So the purpose of your powders is to set the makeup so it stays for a really long time, hopefully all day for that matter. So I'm going to dip into my colored products and very gently, and I'm using a smaller brush because I want a little more detail. And I'm just going over her frontal bone and I'm just setting her makeup. This will give a little bit of color to the skin. So I'm going to use the bamboo powder to just go right over her zygomatic, right over her cheeks, down the bridge of her nose, her chin area, her lip. If you need more, dip in and take some more product, and right underneath as well. This will give her a beautiful highlight. And then for some overall coverage, overall setting, I'm going to use that white, clear, transparent setting powder, and I'm dipping with the large brush. And again, I start at the top and I'm just gently pressing and setting this makeup. Beautiful. You can finish this off by spraying the face with some setting spray, and that will ensure that your makeup will last all day. This concludes today's video on foundation and concealer. I hope all the tips, tricks, and advice help your makeup career soar. See you on the next video.